Good morning, guys, and welcome to my unboxing and review of the high-grade Iron-Blooded Orphans Barbatos 6th form. This was a 2016 high-grade release that I got for, I believe, around like $18 or something like that. It was fairly cheap in the States for a high-grade, and this marks the first video in my kind of Armored Advent section of the Exhibition of Arms and Armor, a series of Gunpla reviews I'm doing, where it's not like really a series and I'm doing special things per video. It's more that it's just kind of revolving around a series of reviews of mobile suits that all share a common theme. In this case, this section, the kind of first major section of the event, is going to be focused on mobile suits that have a lot of that either naturally have a lot of armor or are kind of armored up versions of existing suits. And the 6th form of the Barbatos definitely fits the latter category, as you can see from the very bulked up torso and shoulders of it. This kit's also a little bit of a misnomer, because it's not just the 6th form of the Barbatos here. There are also parts to recreate the 5th form of the Barbatos, which we'll also take a look at. As you can see, it's pretty standard high-grade box art on the front here. Not quite as nice as something you would see from like the Witcher Mercury line or the Seed Freedom line, but still quite nice nonetheless. Of course, on the bottom you have various poses showing off the kind of like articulation of the kit, showing off the large wrench mace, and of course showing off that you can build the 5th form of the Barbatos in addition to the 6th form. And of course on the other side some information about the series, about the pilot, because you get either August or Argus, I can't remember which, and then showing off the painted build of the kit. And my box, as you can see, my box is a little it got dinged up in shipping, but the parts inside should be fine. And with all that out of the way, let's get right into it. So inside the box we get 2 bags of runners, as well as this manual. A little different from kind of the usual high-grade manuals that have like a full kind of spread of the art. In this case, it only takes up the top portion of the front, and the bottom half is just more information about the Barbatos Gundam and the pilot. I think these are showing off the different kind of components of this kit, like the differences between the 6th form and the 5th form. Inside the manual, you get a pretty standard parts list, as you might expect, and then the rest of it is just a very kind of typical high-grade build. And then the parts in color, I'm pretty sure, are for showing off how to change between the 6th and the 5th forms, as well as building the large wrench mace. So, getting into the contents of the bags. So inside we get 7 runners, as well as this very large color-correcting sticker sheet. Some things you would expect, like foil stickers for the eyes, as well as these kind of foil stickers that go on the kind of shoulders and knees of the Barbatos that are all kind of like glowing or metallic. Like that I wouldn't expect to be replicated in a high grade, but there's very large swaths of color-correcting decals in black, blue, white, red, and of course we have some bonus Tekkadan like kind of emblems that you can place on the Barbatos, which is cool. As for the runners themselves, alright, starting with runner A here, in all kind of like dark gray primer color for like most of our frame parts. There's a significant amount of frame here, and as you can see, this isn't specifically for the Barbatos. I assume this is something like IBO Frame Runner 4 or something like that. It is from 2016, the same kind of release year as the kit, and these runners were printed in August of 2024. A rather large runner B here for all of our armor parts in white. This is literally all of the white armor on the Barbatos, both 6th and 5th forms, just kind of laid out on one huge runner, which is cool. This runner is for specifically the Barbatos 6th form. As far as I'm aware, the rest of the runners in this kit, apart from that IBO generic frame runner, is going to be all specifically for the Barbatos 6th form kit. No parts here are reused from any earlier Barbatos kits. A very small runner C here in yellow for various accent parts, for parts for like venting and stuff, and of course you have the V-fin here. A very small runner D for accent parts. You see parts for the face and the feet. Very small runner E for the few blue parts you're going to have on this kit. Presumably these are also parts for the Barbatos 5th form, because I know that also has a lot of blue parts. And a very large runner F in a similar kind of very dark primer frame gray as runner A. This is going to be mostly the weapons runner for the wrench mace, and of course, being a typical high-grade pre-Witch from Mercury, this does use a very small sheet of polycaps. As you saw in the instruction manual, some parts were crossed off. We are not using all of the polycaps, but yeah, we're using part of runner PC002 for that. So, with those runners out of the way, I will see you after the build. Alright, welcome back. Here's the high-grade Barbatos 6th form, although this isn't the 6th form, this is a modified version of the 5th form ground type. Just as a quick note, this is the first kind of segment I'm using to test out this lav mic, so let me know how it sounds. Anyway, So this is a modified version of the 5th form Barbatos that you can make using parts inside of the 6th form box, although I will note the only kind of complete version of the 5th form you can make is the 5th form ground type, which is a modified version of, namely the feet are the feet used by the standard 5th form. The 5th form ground type is supposed to use these kind of typical, like, Barbatos high heels that are seen in all the other forms. I just have the standard 5th form feet on there right now for demonstration purposes. So anyway, getting right into the build. This is the first Barbatos kit I've built. This is the first high-grade Iron-Blooded Orphans kit I've built, and it's a little interesting. Like, obviously, there's a lot more inner frame than you would normally expect from a high-grade, but yeah, that's to be expected with this line, especially considering, first, in lore, how important the frames are for the Gundam suits. They're kind of the entire main draw of them, so it would make sense that they were more, I guess, thoroughly represented in model kit form. The other thing is just this design in general exposes a lot more of the inner frame than most other suits, particularly in that midsection. So they kind of had to include a lot of it and make it reasonably detailed enough because it was going to be showing. So the inner frame for this kit's a lot more, I guess, involved than a lot of typical high grades. That's not a bad thing. Like, it's completely fine. There's a lot of lacking detail in the inner frame parts that aren't exposed, which again should be expected for a high grade. But yeah, in general, I would consider this build pretty standard. There wasn't really anything super jank about it. A lot of things just went together in the typical high grade fashion. It's just a lot of the frame is one or two pieces sandwiched together. They kind of link together with the other frame parts, and then the armor kind of sandwiches over them. Things are linked by polycaps. Like, it's all very kind of typical, slightly older high grade. Again, this kit turns 10 next year, which is kind of crazy. So the build was fairly unremarkable and isn't really a point for or against this kit's favor. It's just kind of typical high grade stuff. Now, getting into aesthetics, this is where this kit is a little polarizing. Again, very similar to G-Quack's. This kit, or I guess the IBO designs in general, are very kind of divisive for the Gundam fan base. A lot of what I've heard kind of boils down to they're really cool mech designs, they're not great Gundam designs, and I kind of agree with that. Again, a lot of these proportions are a little jank. The very kind of, I guess, kind of angled, like, brutal aesthetic for a lot of the IBO line. Like, there's a lot of curved surfaces in the Barbatos, but that doesn't kind of detract from the, I guess, very angular, aggressive aesthetic it has, especially with that head, with that torso, and the almost, I guess, skeletal nature of it, with a lot of the frame being exposed, especially that very thin midsection, with the very visible kind of, like, suspension, like, piston things on the sides, all of the visible power piping, which in Gundam is often associated with antagonistic suits. So again, a lot of this mixed design language, very interesting, especially with the Barbatos' weapon being extremely brutal, the main weapon being almost always a very large blunt object, like the wrench mace included with this kit. But aesthetically, this kit mostly recreates the Barbatos pretty faithfully. There are a number of color inaccuracies, we'll get to those in a second, but in terms of just the sculpt, it's pretty spot on. There aren't that many hollow parts that you can notice, apart from, like, in the feet there's some hollow gaps where the kind of foot frame part connects into the outer armor part, but again, you can only really see that at a specific angle, and it's a high grade, so it's to be kind of expected. But yeah, getting into the stickers, because there's a lot of them. As you can see, I did wind up using all of the stickers on this foil color correcting sticker sheet, which is a little disappointing. Like, again, I keep mentioning this, but the Witch from Mercury line made great leaps and strides in, like, high-grade color accuracy and not needing all of these stickers. And it's a little annoying and disappointing, especially because a bunch of these stickers are wraparound stickers that don't look all that great. So getting into them right now, and then I'll talk about the parts that are still color inaccurate even after applying all the stickers. Sticker 1, of course, is going to be this foil green and black sticker for the eyes. This is expected, and I'm not going to fault this kit for having those. Sticker 2 are black wraparound stickers for the 5th form's side skirts, or the ground type 5th form. Again, we'll talk about that in accessories. But yeah, it's these black kind of wraparound stickers that go around this lower half. Again, like, even if you apply them pretty well, if you, like, pose the kit and stuff, they will peel up a little bit. As you can see, the tip is kind of showing in that original white. I would recommend you just paint this in. And of course you get 2, 1 for each side. Sticker 3 is going to be found on this crotch section for this black sticker on the bottom half of the crotch armor. Sticker 4 you get 2 of for this red foil section on the side skirts. Sticker 5 you get 4 of. These are some of these really bad wraparound stickers I mentioned for the black section on the sides of the legs. So of course you get 1 for each side of the leg, and 2, 1 pair for each leg. They don't really look that great, especially around the sides where they don't wrap around quite properly, and they do fold up very easily to pose the leg. So that's kind of disappointing. Sticker 6 are on the 6th form armor parts on the shoulders. They are this big kind of blue rectangle sticker. Of course, this base part is just entirely white. Sticker 7 you get 4 of for the kind of, I think they're called tail boosters that go on the side skirts for these white sections with small black details. Of course, you get 1 for each kind of side of them, although the kind of inner side is blocked by the adapter that connects them to the side skirts. Sticker 8 you get 2 of for the kind of pink metallic details on the knees, these kind of, I guess, baseball diamond-shaped parts. The stripes are a separate part. Sticker 9 for the 5th form shoulders, / 4th form, these just get the kind of standard Barbatos shoulders. It's these big, like, kind of wrap-around, almost circular sections. Of course, again, the stripe is a different part. Speaking of the stripe, sticker 10 is going to be the vertical pink metallic stripe on the knees. Sticker 11 is going to be the smaller vertical metallic stripe on the shoulders. Sticker 12 is going to be this pink metallic part on the chest. There is a white outline of it, which is very visible against the plastic. Again, you see the same thing for the Tekkadan logos. They kind of have these colored outlines to help it. I think the idea was to help it blend more seamlessly with the armor, but it's just very distracting on the white. On the blue, it blends in a little better, as you can see with these Tekkadan logos. Sticker 13 is going to go on the backpack for the kind of white part on the center thruster bit. The part is just all in that kind of dark frame gray. Sticker 14 and 15 go on the arms for this white section on the blue armor part on the forearm. Of course, this is all just one big blue piece. Stickers 16 and 17 go on the upper thigh for these black parts here. And then stickers 18, 19, and 20 are all Tekkadan logos. 18 is going to be the white logo with the blue border. As you see, I put them on the 6th form shoulders here. They do look quite nice, kind of against this dark blue sticker here, because again, it's dark blue sticker, a dark blue sticker. It does look more seamless than just on the plastic. Sticker 19 is going to be the red logo with the white border, which does not look great, especially on these curved shoulder parts. And sticker 20 is going to be the red logo with the blue border on the forearm side here. Again, you could put these anywhere you want. I just put them where I thought they made the most sense. And again, the white border red sticker doesn't look quite great. The blue border stickers look better. So again, very heavy sticker usage. I'm a little disappointed that a lot of these plaque details needed to be included. Although some parts, like I get, like these parts on the upper thighs, like they could have included a separate part, but it's a high grade. I get that being its own thing. But these wraparound stickers on the side of the legs are very annoying. I would have preferred if this entire thing was just a black piece that slots onto the upper half, and then you can just paint the stripes on yourself. But yeah, very sticker heavy kit, and the stickers mostly look okay, except for, of course, the wraparound ones. Now for the color inaccuracies that aren't fixed by the stickers. So, starting with the head. These 3 small details, I don't know how you can see them. They're supposed to be kind of the frame parts wrapping around the muzzle. They're just in white. I just kind of hastily and sloppily colored them in gray with a panel line marker really quickly. They're just in white. On the backpack, these outer bits on the side of the backpack are supposed to be in gray. They're just in white. On the back skirt, these 2 upper pentagon parts are supposed to be in gray. They are in white. There are foot spikes on both the 5th form feet and the 6th form feet. These kind of white protrusions here are supposed to be in gray. And on the 5th form shoulders, you can see the shoulder arm is kind of separated into multiple plates layered together. The lower plates are all supposed to be in yellow. There is just one white piece. So yeah, there are a number of color inaccuracies on this kit even after all the stickers, which is a little disappointing, but it's a high grade, so some of it is to be expected. For a quick size comparison, here's the high grade Barbatos in its 5th form compared to a standard size high grade being the high grade Blue Destiny Unit 1. As you can see, the Barbatos is going to be slightly taller than your typical high grade, but it does take up about the same amount of space on your shelf. Do keep in mind if you have the standard kind of high heel feet on it, it's going to be a bit taller than it is right now. So for accessories, here's the high grade Gundam Barbatos 5th form with everything it comes with. As you can see, this is quite the accessory spread, but a lot of this is just the parts that change it from the 5th form ground type to the 6th form, which is the form of the box that this is a model kit of. Okay, so starting with the not 6th form parts, starting with this, which is an adapter for the backpack. So either of these sections next to the main thruster in the backpack can detach. and then you can kind of plug this part in to show off the sub-arm feature of the Barbatos. And if you have any weapon that you can slot into this peg here, or this hole in the backpack, you can show off the Barbatos using that. I don't have any weapons that can do that, so I will not be showing off that part of the kit. I guess sticking with this, on the backs of the forearms, of course, the Barbatos can mount two different weapon types. You, of course, have these auto cannons on the back right now, but for the standard 5th form, you can mount these. These are either missiles or mortar shells, I don't remember which, but yeah, they just kind of slide on the back. You can just pop off the autocannon, which is in there pretty tightly, and then just slot in, the alternate forearm weapon here. Of course, these missiles, one of the missiles can swing, the other one cannot, and it can rotate. I don't have all the parts to make the standard 5th form Barbatos, so I will not be posing it with these. I will just be using the auto cannons from the ground type 5th form. You have these two backpack adapters to mount the large wrench mace there on the backpack on those two side parts next to the thruster that I mentioned earlier. You can mount it on either side. And of course you have the large wrench mace itself, which is quite a large weapon if you know anything about the Barbatos. It is taller than the Barbatos itself, as you can see. Yeah, so it's quite an impressive weapon and will definitely give this kit a lot of presence on the shelf. Of course, the main gimmick of this weapon is that the kind of top jaw here can slide up and then open. And then you also have this part here to replicate the like chainsaw teeth of it being active. So it will just kind of clip on. So it'll just clip onto the top jaw, and you can show it about to completely shred some poor schmuck. And then this kit does something that I'm not the biggest fan of, which is, or I guess they just did this with the entire high-grade Iron-Blooded Orphans line in general. So they included parts for completely different kits, so you would have to buy multiple kits to replicate gimmicks or recreate certain units that should just be in the box themselves. So here you have two parts to make the Gray's Ritter Carta custom into the standard Gray's Ritter. You have the standard head crest there and a chest part, and you would also need of course, the shoulders from the 6th form, which are just the Gray's Ritter shoulders, to convert the Carta custom into a standard Gray's Ritter. Again, it's kind of annoying that you have to buy this kit to do that with that kit, and that also applies kind of in the reverse as well, because so this kit, you can recreate the standard ground type 5th form with just everything in the box, no problem. Unfortunately, to recreate the actual standard 5th form, they do give you the feet and the large reactive chest armor, which just kind of slots onto the chest for this very ridiculous kind of chest armor here that I'm not a fan of. But what you don't have are the waist boosters. To actually get the waist boosters onto the side skirts here, you need two other different kits. So for the boosters themselves, you need McGillis Schwalbe Grays for the actual booster units to clip onto the sides here, but you can't even clip them onto the sides because you need an adapter for that. And unfortunately, the adapter is part of the Barbatos plus Long Range Kutan Booster Type 3, which is a $60 kit. So you need to pay an additional, like, including the McGillis Schwalbe Grays, that's like what, an additional $75 just to turn this into the standard 5th form if you want that, which is frankly ridiculous, and I really don't like that Bandai did that. But then, of course, as shown on the box, this is the 6th form Barbatos, so you do have all of the armor parts here to make the 6th form, which I'll show you during the posing section. So of course you have the shoulders of the standard Gray's Ritter. Again, these do not actually come in the Gray's Ritter kit, they're in this kit. And they do look quite nice, especially with these white Tekkadan logos on them. They do add a lot of bulk onto the upper body of this kit. You of course get that buffed up chest armor, not to the ridiculous extent of the standard 5th form, but this definitely adds a decent amount of bulk, kind of the nice middle ground of making a kit have more presence on the shelf without looking ridiculous. You get the standard Barbatos high heels. I'm not the biggest fan of these feet, but they are what Barbatos rocks normally, not these kind of very flat feet of the standard 5th form. And you get these two large, I think they're called tail boosters, that clip onto the side skirts. I'm not the biggest fan of these, notably for how far they kind of jut out from the side when you plug them in. So it does limit the articulation of the arms in the 6th form when you have these on. Speaking of articulation, so articulation between the 5th and 6th forms are largely going to be pretty much the same. The exception being the arms. You are going to be a little more limited in the arms with the 6th form shoulders on, which I will show you in a bit. So starting with the 5th form, the Barbatos head is on a double ball joint polycap, so it does get a quite nice upward look. and a very nice downward look, and like it can actually look down into its own chest. Of course, it does kind of act like a hinge, so the head can pivot forward if need be. You of course get some decent side, and a full 360-degree rotation, as you would expect. For the shoulders then, both the 5th and 6th form shoulders can swing up independent of the actual shoulder, and by swinging them up, get almost a 180-degree upward bend, which is quite nice. Of course, the shoulder does get a quite nice forward swing and a decent backward swing. So replicating any kind of arm pose using the large wrench mace on this kit, it should be no problem. You of course get a rotation of the upper bicep. Just be careful that you don't pop it out of the joint. That can happen quite easily. Yeah, rotation of the upper bicep. Full 360 rotation at the shoulder, as you would expect. Single elbow joint, which is a little unfortunate. It will give you about a 135-degree bend at the elbow. And of course the wrist is on a ball joint, which will do ball joint things. There is no articulation in the autocannon mounted on the forearm. The torso then, you do of course get full 360 spin. This kind of very exposed thin section of the abdomen mean that the chest armor doesn't really collide with the waist armor in any way. So you do get quite a nice forward ab crunch, although the torso does pop out of the waist quite easily. And you also get an extremely nice backward ab crunch. Side to side. Very nice torso movement there. On the backpack, the only real point of articulation to mention is this thruster bit can rotate like so to kind of give the impression that it is charging forward. In the waist, so these two front skirts come together on the runner. I just clip them apart. They are on ball joints, so they do rotate a full 180 degrees upwards, although you probably don't want to do that considering the lack of detail on the back doesn't look all that great. Side skirts can rotate up almost 90 degrees. The tail boosters on the 6th form get a lot more articulation, being on this separate joint that can rotate independently of it. Although it cannot raise as far, of course, with the top part of the booster jutting out. It will collide and pop out of the skirt, the side skirt polycap a lot easier. Back skirt, of course, is fixed in place. There is a hip swing mechanism, so both the legs can rotate about a center axis. So one leg can go forward, the other leg can go back for kind of assisting in kind of having a more convincing like back foot stable ground pose. In the legs then, for front kicks, you will get about 90-degree bend. For rear kicks, you will get about 45 degrees, so not great. For side raises, you will get 90 degrees. Rotation in the upper thigh, as you would expect. Not full 360, of course, you will collide with the waist. You do have a double joint in the knee for a nice full bend right there. In the ankles, you have this kind of center ring that the kind of foot frame slides into. So the entire foot, there is no kind of front and heel separation, so the entire foot, front and back, will rotate very far from side to side, actual full 90 degrees. I don't know why you would ever want that. The ankle armor on the standard 5th form feet does move independently of the front toe, and you do get some very nice toe bend upwards and downwards. It can fold down more than 90 degrees, which is completely unnecessary, but it's cool that it can do it. So now getting into articulation using the 6th form parts. So here's the Barbatos in the 6th form. Some articulation will be impeded by these extra kind of bulky armor parts. The torso flaps can rotate independently of one another, of course, but this bulked up chest, you do lose a bunch of forward ab crunch, as you can see, although you do retain the ridiculous back ab crunch. Now for the arms, of course, your single bend will not be entirely impeded by the shoulder armor, unless of course you do it kind of close to this front flap here. But your side raise will be slightly limited by that large shoulder flap, and it does look kind of ridiculous on this kit because the shoulder will collide with the head and force it to tilt. As you can see here, you cannot put the arms down by the sides with these large tail boosters. You can kind of swing them out of the way to do that, but then you have this very large protruding back part, which does look a little odd. And they do pop off the side skirts quite easily. And of course, with these here, your side raises are going to be limited to a little over 45 degrees because the tail boosters will collide with the torso. You can't tilt the torso out of the way. to get a full 90 degrees, but again, that looks ridiculous, and I don't think you would ever want to do that anyways. So, with articulation out of the way, let's get into some poses. So getting the high-grade Barbatos into a bit of a spin, first off starting in the running and gunning pose in the 5th form. This illustrates a couple of things. First off, this kit doesn't look great in this kind of pose because the back leg not being able to swing far enough back and needing to have this like dramatic bend to balance it in the knee doesn't look all that great, doesn't look very natural. 2, while the autocannons are pretty cool, having the Barbatos actually like firing them and like pose like it's firing them is a little, I guess, it's not as dynamic or as imposing as the Barbatos should be. It doesn't really show off this kit's strengths. Just having the cannons alone, just bulking up the arms, is good enough. You don't really need to show it firing them. Thirdly, this kit, it was very hard to balance, even with these large kind of wider feet, which means the typical Barbatos high heels are absolutely not pulling this off. Do not expect to see that when I show off the poses the 6th form can pull off. And also, you might notice the conspicuous absence of the large wrench mace. It very much unbalances this kit. It absolutely was not going to pull off this pose with it either on the back or in the offhand. So yeah, I wouldn't really... This pose is definitely not worth the effort. So getting into a quick aerial pose here, this shows off a couple of things. One, the Barbatos doesn't really look that great in the air in a lot of cases. It's supposed to be like kind of an upward leaping. It's shooting up with one of its forearm cannons whilst dragging the large wrench mace behind it to do like a follow-up strike or something. So first off, it doesn't look all that great in the air in a lot of poses. You definitely need it to be like kind of two-handing the large wrench mace, about to swing it in a very kind of dramatic pre-swing pose. So this kind of thing already doesn't look all that good. 2, note how kind of limp the Barbatos' right arm is holding the large wrench mace. That is because this... As you might imagine, the wrench mace is way too heavy for it to hold in one hand. The polycap shoulders are nowhere near strong enough to kind of hold up the wrench mace in any kind of believable pose one-handed. This is something you definitely want two-handed, and it's not something I would recommend you do, like holding the wrench mace one-handed, unless it's just kind of static on the ground. Isn't exactly a good move. It doesn't look good. It can't hold up it in any kind of pose that would look good. So yeah, I would not recommend this. But, of course, this is not the high-grade Barbatos 5th form, it's the high-grade Barbatos 6th form. So let's take a look at that. Okay, so here is the high-grade Barbatos 6th form. All armored up, it does look pretty good. I'm still not a fan of those high heels, though. But it does give it a bit of extra height. It is a little harder to balance, especially with that large wrench mace on the back, kind of weighing it and making it very back heavy. The kind of side skirt parts that I was complaining about, like the arms kind of needing to jut out to accommodate, I completely forgot I could like kind of pivot them to the back like this. So yeah, they are mostly okay. They do pop off the side skirt polycaps very easily. But aesthetically, I think the 6th form armor is fantastic. It's very simplistic, as you can probably tell. There is very minimal surface detail, just a couple of small gray rectangles to panel line. But aside of that, it's very kind of uniform, being the same white as the rest of the Barbatos armor. So it does match. I would probably prefer if it was in a bit of a more kind of metallic grayish color, but again, it's a high grade. What do you expect? But yeah, this does look quite good. This extra bulk does give the Barbatos a lot more presence. It definitely fits the large wrench mace a lot more than the 5th form kind of standard Barbatos upper body armor. The bulked up forearms definitely match the extra armor here. Taken from the Race Ritter, which doesn't have a kit, but the Carta Custom does. We already went over this in the accessories section. But yeah, the 6th form just looks fantastic for what it is. Like, it's simple, it's bulked up, and it gives the Barbatos all of the extra presence it could possibly need or want on your shelf. And speaking of which, let's see it in some poses. So getting the Barbatos into a bit of a spin. First, something I don't know how I missed this, but the large wrench mace is also a gigantic source of color and accuracy, with the vast majority of the head and parts of the shaft and the pommel supposed to be like a much lighter gray than the frame gray it's in right now. All in dark gray, it serves as a nice contrast to the main suit, but to be accurate, it absolutely needs a pretty heavy paint job. But getting into a bit of a spin in a ground pose right now with the Barbatos 6th form readying the large wrench mace with the chainsaw teeth out. First thing to note, getting into this pose was very annoying. The large wrench mace, while it's a very cool weapon, like many two-handed weapons, getting it into a bit of a grip that looks natural on the mobile suit, there's only a few options you have, and it's very awkward to position the arms for it to look in any kind of natural on this kit. So to kind of emphasize it, the weight of it, you kind of need to spread the legs out a lot, spread out the arms as much as you can. I really wish the handle was a little bigger. It could really use the extra kind of spacing on the arms to kind of reinforce the weight and size of this weapon, because it's very cool. It's the main weapon of the Barbatos 6th form in the box for good reason. It's very large, it's very imposing, it has a lot of presence, and it's iconic. Like, all of these things together should make for an excellent weapon, but the reality of trying to get it into any kind of pose that isn't just slinging it over the shoulder one-handed or planting the head into the ground one-handed is just a gigantic pain. Although I do think the results are worth it. This is a decent pose, and I wouldn't mind having it like this on my shelf. So getting the Barbatos 6th form into the air in this kind of extremely exaggerated leaping overhead about to swing pose, this is probably the only real pose I would have this kit in the air by itself. Obviously, if you have it in like kind of a mini diorama thing, finding the Kimaris or the Kimaris Trooper, yeah, you can have it in a multitude of different poses, but just by itself, any kind of action pose in the air, most of them look pretty awkward on the Barbatos 6th form, especially with all the extra bulk on this kit. Bulky suits usually look much better on the ground, being able to plant their weight. This kit, this is really the only pose that works. This extremely dynamic, is kind of scrunching itself backwards, trying to get the maximum amount of force behind this downward smash. It's a pretty cool pose, much easier to get into than the grounded pose, funnily enough, and it's definitely something I would consider having on the shelf. So in conclusion, the high-grade Barbatos 6th form is a bit of a mixed bag. Color accuracy wise, the main mobile suit itself is mostly missing a bunch of gray details that are easy enough to paint in, because a lot of them are just kind of on geometric details that are easy enough to mask off. Like, it's not details on a flat piece of armor that need to be like kind of painted in pattern or whatever. Like, it's fine. It's not that big a deal needing to paint those in. The real shame is the large wrench mace, with so much of it not being in the right color. It's a gigantic pain to have to paint almost the entire thing, but not quite the entire thing, which is what makes it a pain, in a lighter gray to be accurate, is a little annoying. And especially the kind of gimmick it has of including the 5th form in the box, but needing 2 other kits, one of which is $60, to replicate the full 5th form and not just the ground type 5th form, is a little off. I really don't like it what Bandai did with the IBO line in that regard, needing multiple kits to replicate gimmicks that should have been in the box in the first place, especially on this one, because it includes the full 5th form ground type, but only part of the normal type. But yeah, articulation of this kit is decent across the board, if not a little underwhelming in things like the single joint in the elbow not allowing a full bend, or things like the static back skirt really limiting the back kick, so having these kind of wide-legged, wide stance poses emphasizing the weight of the large wrench mace is a little awkward to hit. And especially the large wrench mace itself, while it's great and imposing, the design of it makes wielding it two-handed very awkward to do, and the most annoying part of articulating this kit into any kind of pose by far. However, what you get in the box in terms of kind of the presence of this kit on the shelf, the replication of the geometric details, and especially the price of this kit being $16, makes it a recommendation in my book, with the asterisk that know that if you want a color accurate kit out of the box, or if you want a color accurate version of the Barbatos 6th form, you really need to paint the large wrench mace in particular to kind of get rid of the bulk of the color inaccuracy, at least in high grade scale. In Master Grade scale, of course, you can just get the Master Grade Barbatos and then get the Barbatos 1st through 6th form expansion sets, which I do have in the backlog. I'm probably going to take a look at that this summer. But yeah, as far as I'm aware, that kit is, with those parts in the expansion set, you can make a fully color accurate 1/100 genuine Master Grade Barbatos 6th form, which I'm looking forward to seeing. So that was my review of the high grade Barbatos 6th form, and the first video kicking off the kind of themed series of reviews I'm doing on armored kits. What did you think of this review? Let me know in the comments below. If you like reviews like these, please consider subscribing to my channel. If you like this video, give it a like, and I will see you next time with my review of the Master Grade MSV Full Armor Gundam Blue Color version, which is a kit I'm really looking forward to because I really like the MSV Full Armor Gundam. I will see you then.